Yes, I was playing some Hausa music before you came on, sir. Yes.
Yeah,
Can you hear me? Can you hear me better?
I can hear you better now.
Fantastic. We thank God. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Yes. Yes, you are welcome on the program, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you, Dele.
Thank you, sir. I said a few days ago, you sent a message to Mr. President because you were worried about the spate of death, sudden death in your city, Kano. Everyone knows how much you love Kano and how much you have done in and for Kano. But this morning, I read in Punch newspapers, in particular, that the presidency seems unhappy with you about your message. How do you feel?
Well, thank you very much, Dele. I have not seen that reaction of the federal government, and I don't believe that they will go that way, because what I have written to Mr. President was out of concern for Kano and, of course, Nigeria. And from the look of things, and based on our understanding, most of the things I suggested were being implemented by the federal government. And I wonder why they should be angry with what I have said. I have not said anything that is wrong. I made my suggestions to them, and I'm so happy that I have done that. And not only me, all our well-wishers, our friends, our brothers, our sisters, not only in writing that letter to Mr. President.
Now, from information available to you, what exactly in Kano? What's the situation? Information in Kano, are things going bad?
Well, actually, from the information that I have, just yesterday, I was told that they were to start the testing. And actually, graveyards, there is no any improvement. And I hope when they start the testing, and of course, talking to the people, advising them, doing all what it takes, probably.
What are the things you consider necessary that should be done in Kano urgently?
Well, first of all, we require as many testing centers as possible. We need government, especially at the center, to ensure that everybody is carried along. And I believe this is the time for everybody, stakeholders, to come together. And I believe this is the best time to put all hands on deck to carry everybody along, so that we can convince everybody in Kano and even beyond that coronavirus is real. And this is the time for everybody to support the people who are now in their homes in Kano. Governments, from the local governments to the state government to federal government, community leaders, and all those concerned should come together to support the people. Kano is a very high density city, and of course, so many people are poor. Many people go on daily basis to get what they will eat on that day. And therefore, this is the time to mobilize all resources to Kano, so that while people are cooperating with the government, government and stakeholders are also supporting the people with the resources, especially food, that they can stay without hunger in their homes.
Kano parades two of Africa's richest men, Alhaji Aliko Dangote and Alhaji Abdulsamad Rabiu. They are very, very wealthy. Do you support them giving money to the government, or do you think they should act independent of government?
Now, you see, I think we had some issues, and those, or even in the last 5 years, have made it very difficult for such stakeholders to entrust the state government. And even the federal government itself is not entrusting the government in Kano. And that is why people are working very hard to support Kano, especially the two gentlemen you mentioned. They donated billions of naira. In fact, I'm aware that Dangote has decided to build isolation center in Kano. And I believe that is the best way to go. Even the federal government itself, if you look at my letter, my suggestion was that a very, very respectful individuals should be sent to Kano and to take them seriously, unlike the situation we see in Kano today, where the majority of the people don't trust the state government, and of course, state government doesn't respect or trust the good people of Kano. So the way they are going now, supporting the people directly, in my opinion, is the best way out.
Oh, okay. Yes, because last week, Alhaji Abdulsamad Rabiu increased his contribution to Nigeria, but he said he was going to assemble experts to deal with the situation. Instead of just giving money, he was going to open an account with the central bank, and then they can draw the funds as at when necessary. So what other suggestions do you have? Do you think Kano has enough hospitals to deal with the pandemic?
I believe that there are some hospitals, and I also believe that there is need for everybody to come out and support the committee that is working today in Kano. Now, whatever by those donors, I think that will be fine as long as the money is there. And the experts who are in Kano now will have access to the resources so that they can buy all those things that are necessary to fight coronavirus. I believe that we need, at this moment, more equipment. We need more PPEs so that our doctors and other medical personnel can be well protected, so that they can be, because that has been the issue right from the beginning. We had less qualified professionals who were, at the end of the day, contacted the virus themselves, and that was how the whole committee was disbanded, and the whole state ran into huge confusion, which we have seen in the recent past. And I believe that the good people of Kano now are beginning to understand and be convinced that this coronavirus is real, and therefore people are working together with the committee. And I believe at the end of the day, things will get better in Kano. But the issue of death as we get reports from Kano, still going on.
Madagascar, in Senegal, and in Ghana, where they are doing a lot locally. So how do you think our government can help with the local people who manufacture drugs? If you look at China, they have acupuncture. But in Nigeria, everything has to go to America, that our local centers are not well funded. We have research centers in Nigeria, but as usual, they are not well funded. If you were the president, what would you have done?
Well, I didn't hear you completely, but I have heard the issue. You read the issue of the expenses in Senegal and Madagascar. And I believe each and every country, while working with the international communities, it is also important for them to look inwards. And Nigeria should not be an exception. We have had the experience of Madagascar, and I have heard the committee in Nigeria is even thinking of bringing in some of the medicine that is being used in Madagascar, and also the issue in their own country. So this is an international crisis, and therefore all nations should work together with their friends to see how best collectively we can get out of this coronavirus crisis.
Now, I'm getting some questions here. People are saying that educating the people, especially in Kano, because we saw videos of young boys who were washing their hands, washing their faces, and drinking the water and saying they are drinking Corona away. So what is the state of education? You were governor for 8 years. You can't hear me? Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Hello, sir. Yes. I said the issue of educating the people, the education. A lot of people don't believe there is Corona in Nigeria. What do you say to this? How do you get people to believe that this thing is real? Corona in Nigeria, some people feel there is no Corona. So how do we get them to agree that this thing is very real? People are saying, no Corona, no Corona. So I was talking about educating the people, that we saw some videos in Kano where some kids are saying there is no Corona, and they were washing their hands and drinking the water. Are you not bothered about this?
Well, I believe all of us are very much concerned about what's happening, and in fact, even what is happening today in Kano. And Dele, I believe that has to do with the trust that the people have in the government there in Kano. And of course, that has to do with the history of the way and manner the government came into Kano. And that was why now I believe it's not the time of politics. This is the time that the coronavirus is real. And this is the time for all of us to come together and work as a family to make sure that the coronavirus is being stopped in Kano. You know, because of our population and Kano being the commercial center in northern Nigeria, we have almost all the businessmen and women going to Kano either to buy or to sell. And of course, that has made it very easy for people to go and contact the virus and take it back home to their various states. And we are now working together with everybody in Kano, ulama, our businessmen and women, politicians of all political parties, working together to convince the people, one, to ensure, especially the social distancing, and of course, washing hands, using masks, and so on and so forth. And I think we are making progress in that line. But actually, we have to deal with the mistakes of the recent past in Kano. And that is what we have to do now. And I believe that things are getting better in terms of people coming together to stop this pandemic in Kano State.
Yes. I'm reading something here, but it's escaped a bit. Someone is saying, as the Kano state government accepted the hospital you donated for the fight against COVID-19, is that, did you donate a hospital? Did you offer to give
a hospital that my foundation is building in Kano? And that hospital is going to handle the issue of maternity in Kano State. And we just finished it, trying to put all the requirements in the hospital. And therefore, when this issue came up, we decided to put whatever we can find around and also donate it to the state government. So the hospital has now been donated, and we contacted the committee that is handling the coronavirus in Kano, and we are yet to get anything from them. We are yet to hear from them, but I can assure you that in the first place, we want this virus to be stopped long before even any hospital is required. But we gave it to them in case it's needed. And I can assure you also that when the time comes, I believe the committee will make use of that hospital. It's not only the hospital, all the facilities that I have in Kano has been donated to the committee so that it can be utilized when the need arises.
Donating your facilities to the people of Kano. And I hope that if anyone is watching from the side of the Kano government, this is not the time to play politics. This is the time for us to stop this pandemic, especially in Kano, because if anything goes wrong in Kano, it will be an explosion all over Nigeria. Thank you for that. Do you support a complete lockdown in Kano?
Yes, it's very important for all those that not everybody can stay 24 hours in his house or in her house. So many people, and in my opinion, majority of the people will require some support. And that is why the federal government, the state government, all the people concerned, especially the very rich people, some of them you mentioned in this program, should come up and support the people. It's not only the very, very rich people, even the people within the local communities who have got enough for themselves and enough to share, but they can reach out to. I know so many people who are convinced that coronavirus is real, but for many obvious reasons, especially on the issue of hunger, I find it extremely difficult to stay at home. And that is why it is important for all of us to appreciate that and give the maximum we can to the needy.
Wow. Now, when you were governor, can you just take us briefly through your priority areas? You know, in the time of Chief Obafemi Awolowo in the West, he had what he called his cardinal programs. Those cardinal programs form the basis upon which he placed emphasis on development of his people. So, which were your own priorities?
Well, like Awolowo, who I believe has done the right thing for us, education was the first priority, so also the second and the third priority. We have done so much in the area of education, right from the primary to secondary and tertiary levels. In the primary, we were able to build thousands of classrooms, offices for the teachers, toilets, and so on and so forth. We are also able to train and retrain our teachers, employed more teachers to our schools, and of course, in a way of supporting, we were giving them free lunch to encourage them to be all our children who are admitted into primary schools. We also built hundreds of secondary schools. We trained and retrained our teachers, employed additional hands, and we had that program to the extent that every child of Kano State who was of school age was admitted into our primary schools in Kano. So also those who have qualified to go to secondary schools were given opportunity. In fact, all of them had an opportunity. State University established in 2001. And during my second term, we also established Northwest University in 2012. We also established 26 institutes to take care of our children who require training and retraining in various fields. And of course, we established other institutions like Reformatory Institute, which was taking care of those young men and women who found themselves in drugs. We also established men and women who were handling our schools, hospitals, offices, and other government institutions. We established sports institute and so on and so forth. So in total, in addition to the 2 universities, we established 26 institutes. And Dele, I'm also happy to say that in addition to the 2 universities, we also supported other universities by building 300-bed hostel free of charge for them. We did that in Al-Kalam University in Katsina State. We have done that to Ahmadu Bello University. We have done that to Usman Danfodio University and also Maiduguri University. We gave them those, our children, in terms of admission. And I'm also very happy to say that they did exactly that, to the extent that in our second, third, and fourth year in government, there was nobody who had university requirement and who wanted to go to the university, who didn't get admission and who was not supported by our government. And in addition to all that, we introduced what we call foreign sponsorship. First, we said anybody who is first class in Kano, who is 35 years and below, would get automatic sponsorship from the state to go to any university in the world. And I'm happy to say that we were able to send Kano State indigenous to 14 countries around the world, including the United States of America, United Kingdom. And in 4 years, we sent over 2,650 Kano State indigenous. If I say indigenous, to us, we mean anybody living within the borders of Kano State. Because among the 2,650, we had people from the southeast, southwest, south, and of course other states, and they are contributing to the development of the state, country, and the world in just to the extent. When I left the government, especially after the 2000, including the governor himself, who was a product of Kwankwaso, decided to fight Kwankwaso, and we were together with them in APC, and we had to move to PDP, the party that I joined others to form, to occupy so many positions in this country. Some of them you mentioned at the start of this program. I realized that the best way is education, not only for the individuals and the groups and the states, but also for us as politicians. I can tell you, group, we had no former governor or sitting governor, we had no senator or former senator, we had no minister believe in our ideology in Kano. And that ideology was well received by the people of the state, to the extent that the people and other leaders in the Kwankwaso movement came out and voted for our governor, Abake Yusuf. And everybody in this country, everybody, even including those who rigged that election, knew very well that APC lost the election in Kano. In other words, PDP won that election, but some people, the powers that be at that particular time, decided that Kano, as that reason, they went around and worked in all those people who are supposed to be umpires, the INEC, the security agencies, everybody, and rigged that election. And not only that, we won in the courts, but they used the influence and, of course, rig that election. And we tried to explain to them at that time that what they were doing was very dangerous for themselves and for the country and for the democracy. And now we are seeing some of the consequences of their action. Nobody voted for this, the government or the people, the vast will advise you. But for me, I will give you one advice. And that one advice was that, look, Shehu, have you heard anybody saying that politics is a game of number? He said, yes. He said, okay. Now, if it is a game of number, unfortunately, there are so many bad people in this world. And you are looking for a number. If you are looking for the best people or good people, that means you will have minority because they are minority in the society. So you have to take everybody along with you, including the bad people. And he was telling Shehu, but I was there as a very young man. You can imagine 1992, 93, very long time ago. But that, at least I got that if you are interested in politics, you have to carry with you the bad, the good, and the ugly for you to succeed. And that was exactly what I have done in the last 30 years or so. And that is why we have the most powerful organization in Kano, and to a very large extent in northern Nigeria and across the country. And it pays very well. And the governor is somebody that I like so much. He was my deputy in 1999 to 2003. He was my SE when I was Minister of Defense. When Sheikh Umar Musa Yar'Adua came in 2007, I appealed to him, and he was given the secretary to the Chad in Chad Republic. And he was there when I got ticket and asked him to resign and come back to Nigeria. And he resigned from Chad Republic and came back, and I gave him my deputy. And when I was leaving, I handed over government to him free of charge. In Kwankwaso, we don't ask for money, especially during elections and so on and so forth. So we have done our own bit, and of course, we had good election in 2015, but unfortunately, because human beings as they are, and as we also seen in other states in this country, the crisis started, and I am concerned, the crisis had no basis other than what I told you, that in politics you have to do it with so many other people, including people who, to put it mildly, don't understand. So I'm so happy that we had a good organization, a group in Kano, which had the capacity and still has the capacity any day, any time to win an election. And yes, we worked for him in 2015, but along the line, we realized that putting him was a mistake, and for that reason, we decided to reverse. We have done all what we could together with a group of people of Kano State, and the result is very obvious for everybody to see, including the international community. PDP won election, and it was denied the seat. But you see, as law-abiding citizens, we decided to tell our followers to be cool and calm, because everybody should know when to fight, when to sleep, when to pray, and of course, want to do other things. So we realized that the power that be were not so worried about the peace in Kano at that time, and therefore we decided to take the matter to Almighty Allah, who is the Supreme King and who is the in charge of everybody. And that's exactly what we did in Kano.
Sir, I want us to establish a political theory from this conversation today. From your conversation with the great man who told you that politics is a game of number, and that to win, sometimes you need the support of even bad people. So everybody cannot be good. So would you say that is one of the reasons why someone like the president, who is there now, Momodu Buhari, needed the support of those who ordinarily would not have been on the same plate with him? Is that the theory? That he would not, he contested 3 times and lost 3 times, but until he now got the support of the so-called bad people, he couldn't win. Then he won. So is that a political theory that we must uphold? Is that your thesis?
Well, this is the general theory, and on the whole, one has to look at it from many perspectives. It all depends on what one was talking about. Now, the governor 2015 to 2019, of course, he was governor for 4 years. But really, for the years that he was working with me, or to a very large extent for me, we didn't realize that when he takes over, he will be this bad, unfortunately. And that was why efforts were made to change him in 2019. But I'm not very sure of the context you are asking this question. It is very obvious that the general theory is that politicians should work together with so many.
Okay, sir. We'll leave it at that. And then I come to the issue of agriculture. Kano State is so big, so massive that even to feed the people will be a major challenge. So what sort of investment did you put in place in Kano?
Thank you very much. During our time, we tried as much as possible to provide the farm inputs, ranging fertilizer. I remember in 2011, when I went back the second time, in May of 2011, what we did was to go around and ensure that our farmers had adequate fertilizer to each of the 480 forwards, provided tractors that we purchased and gave to farmers. We provided the farmers, especially the middle-level farmers, with equipment. Especially, we trained and retrained our farmers who are using, the cattle, the ox, to till their land. We provided them with capital. After training them, we purchased them and, of course, gave it to them. We have big dams in Kano, 23 in number. We selected the biggest two, Chala Gorge Dam and Tiga Dam. And we spent millions of dollars to provide turbines to generate electricity to the city of Kano and our industries. Unfortunately, the time was against us. And therefore, we calculated and came up with a figure that what was required to complete those two projects was $43 million US. And that was exactly what we left in our treasury for government to complete those projects, two projects. Unfortunately, also, up to this moment, those projects have not been completed. I don't know what happened to the projects. I don't know what happened to the $43 million US we left. We also identified one of the dams along Gwarza Road, which we utilized. We leveled the farms, we provided the water, and now it's fully in use. And you can go on and on in the area of agriculture. We supported our farmers. They have done so well, and we are all happy with ourselves in Kano.
Major challenge, housing, accommodation. That has always been an issue in Africa. A lot of people have nowhere to sleep. I was once in Kano, and I couldn't believe the number of street kids I saw. How did you deal with this as governor?
Well, you see, we took the issue of housing also very, very seriously. And right from the beginning, what we did was to agree that Kano State government would provide adequate and good houses for the people. Especially, we realized that we were building human capacity, and that has to be supported with the good housing that goes with that. I'm happy to say that Amana City and Bandrao City, around the main city of Kano, and along the line we built thousands of houses, and I'm happy to say that we utilized the resources within our treasury, and also we worked together with the pension board that had some money in its account. We signed an agreement with them that we would build the houses, and if we sell the houses, we will give them their money with interest. If we didn't sell the houses before we left, we would give them the houses in lieu of their own money. And that was exactly what we did. I'm happy to say that those three cities are still there, and I believe if you go to any of them, I think is the best part of Kano, with all the facilities and so on and so forth. And before then, we created the estate. We created the Mariri estate and so on and so forth. The idea of creating those houses were not only to build houses at that particular time for those who are going to use them, but also to create job opportunities for our young men and women, to create opportunities for artisans, craftsmen, technicians, and engineers, to create opportunities for people who are selling building materials and so on and so forth. To the extent that at that particular time, my brother was telling me that in my hometown, which is about 25 kilometers from the city of Kano, each and every morning, so many vehicles, trailers, buses, and so on were being loaded with young men and women who are going to these construction sites. And I'm so happy that has happened. And let me also say that unfortunately, our government in Kano abandoned all those houses that are not completed, unfortunately, because when we left, many of them were ongoing. Most of them were being completed and many of them were being occupied by the owners. And housing is key. Housing is important. And we also realized that the GPs, government being misused, they are being mismanaged. And of course, it was also very much, it's like drain for government resources to disappear. And therefore, we decided to sell those houses to the occupants of those houses. And I think that was also a very, very good program that was being appreciated by the civil servants themselves, by the people. And in fact, when we sold them, there were improvements on those properties, which in effect also helped in creating other job opportunities and improved properties. So we have worked so hard in the area of housing, including those institutes I told you, the 26 institutes we established in Kano in 4 years, plus the 2 universities we established. We also built so many houses for the staff of those institutions. So thousands of houses, fortunately.
Okay, can you hear me, sir?
Very well, very well.
Okay, I don't want to limit you to Kano because you are a national figure, and I've done a lot of research. Your resume was sent to me by Mubarak, and I couldn't believe how lengthy it took me time to go through it. Now, your time as minister, can you speak to your time as minister? Now there is so much insecurity all around. What were you able to do as minister in the area of security?
Chief Olusegun Obasanjo for giving me opportunity to be his Minister of Defense in his second term. It was a rare opportunity for me to be part of the extended family of security in this country. I was opportune to work with the military, an institution which has people who are well organized. We have very high level professionals, people who are committed in protecting this country, people who are ready to put their lives on line for all of us to live in peace. And I have worked with people who have done so much in this country. And I believe that the 15th January day, which is to celebrate the military, I think more should be done. During our time, under the leadership of Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, a lot has been achieved, especially our defense policy in this country. So hard to ease the challenges in the ministry. We have also done so much to support the military in terms of their welfare, in terms of their arms, ammunition, and all those things they require. I remember at that time we were in Sudan. We are also in Liberia, and so on and so forth. And we were able to do not only the military, but this country pride. We were involved there. So many of people, Nigerian military personnel, lost their lives in those countries, defending peace. And the military was well respected in this country and in Africa and the world in general. And I'm so happy that I was part of them. And on the current situation in the country, I want to take the opportunity to appeal to all those concerned to give them the maximum support they require, and also try as much as possible to do such things that you can win more of their confidence as government and also as people. And I also believe that with all those support, our military can do better in the operations that are involved in this country. And also there is need to look at some of these areas of operation which can be handled by the police. Because the more you spread them thin, the more you create a problem in terms of resources, both human and material. Today, in terms of what they should be doing, because the training should be geared towards the present situation in the Northeast and other parts of the country. So it's an opportunity for me to thank all the uniformed people, all those who are not sleeping for us to sleep, those who are there laying their lives under very difficult circumstances for this country to unite, to be one. And Dele, I thank you for this question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, there are two other areas I want us to touch briefly. Time is fast spent. It's on the issue of the rule of law. What's your attitude to the rule of law in Nigeria?
Well, let me, at this point, take this opportunity to condole all those who have lost their lives due to the issue of and so on and so forth. And also it's an opportunity to sympathize with those who are being taken. Like we have one of our strong supporter, a good Nigerian, we call Daddy Atta, who comes from Kaduna State, and he is a lecturer in the Federal University in Dusama in Katsina State, who was taken right in his house before his family sometimes last year. And up to now, nobody saw him. We worked so hard through the security agencies, especially the SSS. We are now taking this opportunity, I'm taking the opportunity to appeal to the federal government, the Kaduna State government, and all those stakeholders to do whatever they can to bring him back to his family. Now, still on the issue of rule of law, I think the government needs to do more. Democracy is very cumbersome. Democracy, governor, president, state assembly members or national and so on, fortunately or unfortunately for them, they have to go through democracy. And we have seen many people wanting to reject some parts of democracy and select those areas that pleases them. And that is where you have huge problem in democracy. In democracy, you have to understand that you have to, if you want to be a politician, for example, you have to do politics with your friends. You have to do politics with your enemies. You have to do politics with those you don't like, with opponents, all sorts of things, either in your own politics. And it is also important to say that in politics, you have to be very accommodating. In politics, you have to be very understanding. In politics, you have to know that there are people with different views, with different opinions, and maybe they are even right and you are wrong. And for that reason, they need to be accommodated. Otherwise, that's when you begin to have this issue of human rights abuses. That's when you find people playing in their hands. If it is their team wanting to score, they make sure that it is in the right place. And if others are there to score, they move the goalpost. And all this, in my opinion, don't help anybody, including those who are in it. And what we have seen in this country in particular, we have people going into government, and once they are there, they sit down and define who their friends are. They don't look at those who contributed. They don't look at those who have the capacity to contribute. In fact, there is what I personally believe to do it. Otherwise, you create problem for yourself and create problem for the people. And if you put all this together, Dele, is what contributes to some of the things that one can call the issue of human rights. And human rights in every country, in every state, in everywhere, in every local government, even in every home, is very, especially those who are in government now. Because the tendency is that you stay in opposition for many years. Once you get government, you start behaving worse than what you were complaining before you. So human rights is very critical, and therefore leaders should do whatever they can to avoid violating the human rights.
The final one is on the separation of powers. Separation of powers. How would you react to that? Do you think we have separation of powers in Nigeria?
Well, for me, it depends on the regime. It depends on the time you are talking about. Now, in my opinion, the separation of power as it is today between the executive, if you look at the utterances and the body language of the National Assembly today, actually is not the best. And I want to say that they have not been very strategic. There are certain things that they should not say. For example, for a leader in one of the arms to say whatever the other arm brings, they will pass it, meaning that he believes that, and that's what they said, whatever they bring is good, they will let it go, then that is a big mistake. You are there to have or to make a second opinion. You are there to look at it critically and say, this is good, let it go. This I am not sure, I need explanation. And this one we are sure is not good, go and look at it again. And that is why even for example, the National Assembly is there. The National Assembly of any state or any country must not be a rubber stamp. So, especially as a result of the 2019 election in the judiciary, I believe that we need to do a lot of work. That is the reality on the ground. And what we have seen in the courts, especially, is not good for the judges, it's not good for the lawyers, it's not good for us, for politicians, because you may be there today, but you are sure you cannot be there forever. You need an independent judiciary, a judiciary that is really independent. We need strong institutions there. INEC is supposed to be independent. What we have seen in Kano, I don't believe INEC is independent. Police are also supposed to be fair umpires, and other security agencies. What we have seen in Kano, unfortunately, is not the case. And that was what we saw in the past, and we tried to make some corrections. Unfortunately, we now have worst situation. And unless our leaders decide really to come to their proper senses and I was in government. In fact, so many governments over the years. Now I'm not in government. My party is not in government. I have seen what happened when I was in government. I am now watching what is happening out of government. And it's very unfortunate that many of my friends, those colleagues that have been closing doors to criticize what was happening, now it's like they are completely different. They are not the sort of guys, the people that I used to know. Now, the way they behaved in 2019 election, as far as we are concerned, is Kano, is so unfortunate to the extent that they made even their own friends their own enemies. And that is very dangerous for them, and it's not good for anybody.
It's been nice speaking to you. It's been a fantastic conversation with Alhaji Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. I don't know the meaning of Madugu, but I can see a lot of your people hailing you and saying the Madugu.
Leader.
Good afternoon, sir, and have a lovely evening.
Thank you very much, Dele. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Thank you, sir. And my love to my dear brother Mubarak. I love him.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Bye.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was a fantastic conversation with the great man himself. I see people call him the Jagora, the Madugu. I call him Alhaji Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso. Great man. He answered all the questions very nicely, intelligently, and eloquently. And this evening at 8 o'clock, join me as I bring on this program the prayerful woman of God. Yes, Iyadura. She's popularly known as Iyadura, Reverend Mother Abimbola Esther Ajayi. Yes, this evening you will hear all about her mission, about the Esther Ajayi Foundation. Barely 3 years ago, she said she wanted to read. I cannot wait to engage. And we bring you the best of the best on this program. Yes, a lot of people want my dear brother, Kola Abiola, well noted. I'll put pressure on him. He does not speak every day, but I hope this time I can get him to speak. This is the time for all of us to speak as Nigerians. And so we will speak to Iyadura tonight, and hopefully we can have, a good conversation again, and we can dance, this evening. Yes, give me some music for Iyadura.
Àwọn ìdúpẹ́ ìjọba ọ̀fẹ́ àmọ́pẹ́ wa, ó rẹ̀ tó ní wọ́n ṣe é.